So, Aja Wilson was interviewed and probably said something that she shouldn't have said.
Aja Wilson just found out the Indiana Fever dominated free agency, and let's just say, she's not handling it well. Betrayal, confusion, maybe even a full-on crisis. Sue Bird broke the news, and Aja went off. Was it shock, frustration, or the realization that the league isn't built for personal convenience? One thing's for sure, this drama is far from over.
Access to Indiana, which I think everyone agrees right now has gone from, a team that made the playoffs last year, lost in the first round. They were building all these young pieces, of course, Caitlin Clark, to now an immediate contender with all the moves that they've made. I think Natasha Howard certainly stands out. I loved playing with.
When Sue Bird speaks, the world listens. She's got rings, receipts, and the nerve to crown the Indiana Fever as free agency's biggest winners. But she didn't stop there. She stirred the pot even more, calling them legit championship contenders. The second those words dropped, Aces fans were in full panic mode. And Aja Wilson? Let's just say her reaction was nothing short of dramatic. You'd think someone told her basketball was canceled for good. The league just got interesting.
Bird is one of the greatest point guards of all time in the WNBA. And she's someone who obviously is a part owner in the Seattle Storm. So hyping up another team is a bit of a conflict of interest.
Let's be real. Vegas was already struggling. Their super team status? Fading fast, like someone flipped the Monopoly board mid-game. Players left, chemistry's shaky, and now the Fever just pulled off a power move like they found cheat codes. But the real gut punch? Indiana snatched Sydney Colson. That one stings. The Aces dynasty might be in trouble.
Snatched Sid Colson from the Aces. She is 100% vibes. She is 100% going to be a backup for Caitlin. It's going to be fantastic. Backup for Kelsey. She is a great addition to this backcourt. She has senior leadership. She has championship experience. She is the most fun ever. And Stephanie White and the Indiana Fever front office is not messing around. They are putting everything in place to make sure that this year is a championship caliber team, and every addition it gets better and better and better.
If you know Sydney Colson, you know she's the heart, soul, and comedic MVP of the Aces. Losing her isn't just a roster change. It's like your best friend switching squads and thriving without you. Painful. And for Aja Wilson? This is just another hit on a growing list of reasons to question everything. First, the Aces front office makes choices. We'll just leave it at that. Now, teammates are leaving like the building's on fire. The dynasty cracks are showing, and Aja might be feeling the heat the most.
Lexi, you got the MAGA Barbie. Look, this is gonna be good and bad for the Fever. And this is gonna be good and bad for CC. Because if CC can't get a ring with the super Avengers that Kathy and the Indiana Fever has assembled, then...
And the Fever? Oh, they're feasting. Snagging Sydney Colson was just the appetizer. They took the Aces' heart, soul, and swagger. They didn't just steal a player. They hijacked the culture, the blueprint, the vibes. Now, Aces fans are in full meltdown mode, spiraling like they just got dumped via text. Twitter, TikTok, whatever we're calling it these days, is pure chaos. Vegas fans are screaming into the void, acting like their team didn't just win back-to-back championships. The drama? Immaculate.
What do you mean Sydney Colson is joining the Indiana Fever? What does that mean? Indiana is just being so fucking greedy right now. They took DB. They took Natasha. Now they got Sydney Colson. Why would they take Sydney from us?
It's giving, wait, you're thriving without us? Energy. Meanwhile, Indiana Fever fans are on cloud nine. They went from searching for hope to watching their team build an Avengers-level roster. Caitlin Clark is on the way. The supporting cast, lethal, free agency, dominated. And now, with Sue Bird's official blessing, Fever fans are walking around like they just struck gold.
contender. Now the expectations have changed. I'm sure the way they're approaching this season have changed. I think the biggest part of DB joining this team is that she's already played for Steph. So I think that's going to help bridge the gap, because as we go along, we're going to talk about Vegas and Seattle, Atlanta. It's really going to be which
Stephanie
team.
White being the head coach of,
Right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you.
Was the head coach of Connecticut, now the head coach of India.
As for Asia Wilson, she's left trying to hold together what's left of her squad while watching Indiana transform into the team to beat. And look, she's a competitor. She'll fight. But let's be real. She's not thrilled about how this is unfolding. Who would be? The real question now: can the Aces bounce back, or has the balance of power officially shifted? Because if the Fever truly won free agency, Asia and Aces fans might have to brace for a new WNBA era. Indiana has gone from "let's just make the playoffs" to "hang the banners now." Rational thinking? Gone. If you say anything less than "Indiana Fever are inevitable," expect a fight. Nobody saw this coming. Indiana went from lovable underdogs to real contenders overnight. And the wildest part? No one can even argue with them. The league just got a whole lot more interesting.
Indiana Fever team.
They getting paid anyway?
That are like, no, but players who will be free agents next year. There's a lot of other going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
The Fever leveled up, they stole talent, they set themselves up to compete. And now, rival fans can do nothing but sit there, glaring at their screens, hoping, praying that Sue Bird somehow got it wrong. But here's the problem. Sue doesn't miss. She's not just hyping Indiana for fun. She knows the game, and she sees what's coming. And that terrifies everyone else. Because if Indiana is really about to be a powerhouse, that means someone else is getting knocked down. The denial is real. Fans are scrambling for coping mechanisms. They're still young. They haven't proven anything yet. Championship contenders? Let's not get carried away. But deep down, they're nervous. Every Fever move is now under a microscope. Every game will be watched like a finals matchup. Rival fans aren't just hoping Indiana fails, they need them to. Because if the Fever are inevitable, the WNBA is about to change fast.
Next season, they have Caitlin Clark, they have Aaliyah Boston, they made sure that they re-signed Kelsey Mitchell. That was a big one. They acquired both Natasha Howard and DeWanna Bonner. They traded for Sophie Cunningham. They still have Lexi Hull. And now they have made a move that is literally my favorite of WNBA free agency. They have signed Sydney Colson, face of the WNBA. If you know, you know. You might look at Sydney Colson's stats and be like, oh, she doesn't really give that much of anything. She doesn't score. She's averaging like 2 points a game. That's fine. The Fever do not need another high-volume scorer. They need a veteran backup point guard who can help manage that offense.
Meanwhile, Fever fans are thriving, watching the chaos unfold like a perfectly scripted drama. They went from being overlooked to becoming the main character of the WNBA storyline. And honestly, they're loving it. They should. For the first time in years, the Indiana Fever aren't just part of the conversation. They are the conversation. Every move they make is making headlines. Every signing, every draft pick, every prediction. It's all about them. After seasons of irrelevance, Fever fans are soaking in every moment. Because right now, the WNBA isn't just watching Indiana rise. They can't look away.
Love DeWanna Bonner. Love Kelsey Mitchell, but Sydney Colson, the face of the league, to the Indiana Fever. Indy better roll out the red carpet. I swear that I have to get a Colson jersey.
And speaking of conversations, Asia Wilson just sparked a wild one. After all the free agency chaos, she turned around and blamed her own locker room for last season's loss. Yep, the same teammates she was hyping up, calling family, and saying she was lucky to have. One minute, it's all love. The next, it's, well, if my team had actually stepped up, maybe we would have won. Now, let's be real. Nobody expected Asia to take the Indiana Fever situation well. But throwing her own squad under the bus? That's next-level frustration. The same team she was all smiles with after back-to-back rings is suddenly the reason they didn't three-peat? Make it make sense. Aces fans are scrambling, trying to spin this into anything other than what it is. But the message is clear. A'ja Wilson is not happy, and the cracks in Vegas are starting to show.
Yeah, this is damning. It really is. I gotta tell you. You see this quote. Quote, "It wasn't a championship locker room." Wow. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Holy smokes.
She didn't mean it like that. She was just being honest. It's tough love. Sure, okay, but let's not pretend half the team didn't hear that and immediately start side-eyeing her. Because if you're in that locker room, you feel some type of way. Imagine grinding all season, pushing through injuries, sacrificing for the squad, only to hear your star player turn around months later and basically say, yeah, they weren't good enough. Oh, that group chat? On fire right now. And Sydney Colson? She's probably somewhere sipping tea, laughing, knowing she got out just in time.
Everything was not given, you had to take it. You know, those life lessons have kind of transformed me into who I am now. And, you know, I know that this is not going to be an easy road. I know that this is, I probably took the path of most resistance. But that's what's exciting to me because that's what I've always done.
And the timing? Absolutely priceless. Free agency is done, rosters are set, and there's no going back now. The Aces have to push forward with whatever chemistry they have left. And rival fans? Oh, they are eating this up. They've been waiting for cracks in Vegas's dominance, and A'ja just gave them a wrecking ball. Meanwhile, Fever fans are sitting back, watching the chaos unfold like premium entertainment. Their team, once the league's punching bag, is now looking dangerous, while the defending champs spiral. The Indiana Fever, a team that couldn't buy a playoff spot for years, suddenly looks like a legit contender. And the Aces? They've gone from dynasty in the making to the WNBA's most dramatic reality show. A'ja doesn't even have Sydney Colson to lighten the mood anymore. The team's comedic glue is gone, and now? The vibes are in complete disarray. And just when it seems like things couldn't possibly get worse, Kelsey Plum walks in and throws gasoline on the fire.
She just did an interview, okay, and she is very much excited. Scratch that, she is ecstatic to be at LA Sparks, and she's talking about how this is the best treatment she's received as a WNBA player.
Oh yeah, Kelsey Plum, the Aces' golden child, fan favorite, and lethal scorer, just set the internet on fire. She revealed she's never been treated as well in the WNBA as she has since leaving Vegas for the Sparks. Oof. If you're A'ja Wilson, this has to feel like a full-on ambush. First, teammates keep leaving. Then, she accidentally throws shade at the ones who stayed. And now, one of her best scorers is out here confirming. Just how messy things were behind the scenes? Someone check on her. And let's be real. Kelsey didn't drop that take for no reason. Players don't air out former teams unless there's real tension bubbling under the surface. And judging by how fast Vegas is unraveling, the tea isn't just hot, it's boiling.
Kelsey Plum, I've been treated better than I've ever been as a WNBA player. Which is, you know, that's not an ideal one. It's not an ideal thing to hear from a player from their previous franchise, especially if you're the Aces, who are seen as like the gold standard for WNBA franchise.
Meanwhile, the players who left Vegas? Thriving. Sydney Colson is chilling. Kelsey Plum is glowing. In LA, players are escaping like they just got released from basketball prison, and every single one of them looks happier for it. The truth is bubbling to the surface, and Vegas fans are running out of ways to pretend everything's fine. This isn't just a rough patch. It's a full-on collapse. And suddenly, those championship hopes? Looking real shaky. The Aces still have A'ja Wilson, but at this rate, she might be leading a one-woman army. And against a rising Indiana Fever squad, that's just not gonna cut it. Vegas still has talent, but with the way things are unraveling, they're already looking outmatched. And against a Fever squad that's already built for a title run, that's a serious problem.
Kelsey Plum took her baggage, took her luggage, baggage sounds very negative in connotation. The Aces are the ones that have the baggage. Kelsey Plum took her luggage and went over.
If Vegas has any hope of winning this year, well, somebody better start stretching, because this is about to be a full-on carry job. All eyes are on one player to hold this thing together. If the Aces want to survive, she's going to have to put the entire team on her back, for real this time. But let's talk about something even more stressful. MVP? Yeah, A'ja Wilson might want to check that rearview mirror, because Caitlin Clark is coming, and not just coming with a vengeance. The WNBA hasn't even seen Clark step on the court yet, and she's already shifting the landscape. She's got the hype, she's got the skill, and the second she starts torching defenses, the MVP race is wide open. If ever there was a time for a new face to shake up the league, it's now. And the scariest part? She's not alone. Indiana Fever isn't just improving, they're building something. They've got Clark, they've got vets, they've got momentum. This isn't just excitement anymore. This is real. And if the rest of the league isn't ready, they're about to learn the hard way. Indiana Fever is coming for everything.
So the number one reason that we feel she will win the MVP is her level of competitiveness and her desire to be the best. I feel she's ultra competitive. I think she has the Michael Jordan mentality. And she's driven to get better. And I think she's the hardest working basketball player.
The MVP race? Brutal. Doesn't even begin to cover it. While Vegas scrambles to hold things together, Indiana is coming straight for the crown. The Aces might still have some fight left, but the Fever? They're hungry. And if this momentum keeps building, they won't just compete. They might just take over. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. More videos are on screen now.